Welcome back. We're Sam and Kelly. We've been living full-time in our self-converted Sprinter van for the last couple of months, and we've definitely learned a thing or two about what's really necessary in our van. In this video, we're going to show you the 5 must-haves that'll make living in a van so much easier.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Sam and Kelly's van. I'm Sam.
I'm Kelly.
Sunny's over there, and this is our van. Today we're going to be doing a new series. We just did our van tour, so if you want to check it out, you can check our link below, or it'll be somewhere on screen. But we wanted to make this video to show you 5 things that will make living in a van easier. We've been on the road for a few months now, and I've
learned a couple things.
Learned a few things about living in a van, and we think that these 5 things are going to be crucial if you are going to be building a van and living in it full time. And without further ado, let's just get right into it.
Before we get into the technical stuff with Sam, I wanted to show one of my favorite things that we have recently installed into the van. We installed this about a month or so after living in the van and realizing how the van actually works. So we have a dinette set up where we set up this table right here as our workstation and eating station, and it became a huge nuisance. It was a huge table and just kind of annoying to have around all the time and having to squeeze around it. So we built this little area back here that keeps the table locked and steady when we are driving and when we just don't want to use the table in general. It's these pieces of wood right here that's just this perfect frame for the table. So when we don't want to use it, we don't have to worry about it just laying around randomly and flying around. And now we have a lot more room back here when we're not using the table. And I personally love this addition. My second favorite addition that has made van life easier, it might be my first, but I put it as my second, is having a fruit basket. It seems super simple, but actually it makes a big difference, because originally we had seen so many recommendations for the fruit hammock, and we had it set up right over here under our kitchen cabinet, and it seemed cool. It has a cool vibe putting your fruit in an actual hammock, but it's not realistic at all, because no matter how far away you put it, you're gonna visit bumpy roads that are going to slam your fruit against the wall almost every time you drive, even if it's a nice paved road. And we ended up just always putting our fruit on the ground because it just wasn't reasonable to always take down the fruit every time we drove. So it ended up being like pretty annoying, I'm not gonna lie. Finally, I was like, why do we keep taking down our fruit hammock every single time we drive? Why don't we just get a nice fruit basket? And so we got this really cute fruit basket in Basalt, Colorado, right next to Aspen. Just having a fruit basket is so useful because we Velcroed it down and the fruit does not go flying anymore, and now we have happy, peaceful fruit that is not being bruised, and now we are happy and peaceful. So I definitely recommend it as an easy addition to your van.
Now that Kelly has gone through some of the aesthetic things to make van life a lot easier, I'm gonna do some more technical stuff, starting with a water meter. We have it right here in this cabinet. This is like a whole plumbing section. Right here is a water meter. This thing is an absolute game changer, because a lot of people, when we're doing some research, they just like lift up their benches to see how much water they have. They do the eye test. This was super easy, super affordable. I think it was like $100 or something. And then you just click the button, you know how much water you have. It's so nice knowing how much, because then you can determine if you can take a shower, if you have enough for dishes or cooking. It just makes life a lot easier. This next thing is the absolute biggest and most important thing you need in your van. I'm gonna be 100% serious. If there's anything you can take away from this video, listen up to this thing right here. This was my first time doing any plumbing, so my dad and I, we set up a very simple plumbing system that went just PVC pipe going into a gray water tank underneath the sink. But the issue is, once the gray water tanks fill up, it starts to really smell. I did a couple, air holes at the top of the gray water tank to like hopefully eliminate some of the smells, but it didn't really work all the way, because the smells just come up and it stinks up your van. It was a big problem for us all the time. So we actually installed a new drain pipe, literally like 3 days ago, called the HEPVO drain pipe. It's for RVs. So what it does is it allows water and other food particles to go down, but it has an airtight seal, so no smells or anything can come back up. Our gray water tank has been full for like 2 days and no smells. I truly think this was the easiest, most important thing that you can have if you're living in a van full time, because the smells, it's a small space. Things smell really quickly, and you gotta make sure that doesn't happen.
Camera lady has to agree. It's one of my favorite additions in the van. Gray water smells can be truly foul, and this has eliminated that problem.
The final thing we're gonna say is really important, and it is having a valve on your overflow drain for your water tank. So I did a ton of research on the whole plumbing systems for vans, and everyone has an overflow tank, but I never saw anyone with a literal valve to stop the water from continuing to overflow once it's full. By the time that we actually fill up our water tanks to full, and we'd get to like a campsite or our town, we'd literally lose a quarter of water because it would just keep going out because of the overflow drain. What we did is we installed a valve on our overflow drain. So basically, once it's full, you just hit the valve and then no more water's lost. But the most important thing, when you fill up, you have to make sure that you open the valve so it doesn't explode your water tank, which would be really bad. The moral of the story is that when you add this valve, you're not gonna be overflowing your water and you're not gonna be losing any unnecessary water, which is great. You have the most water that you can at every moment of the day.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope that the 5 things that we showed you were helpful and that you can actually use them in your van build or in your current van if you have it, or if you're even renting a van, you can know what to look out for. These things have surely helped us, especially after living in it, because before we lived in the van full time, you think you know everything you're gonna need, but you really don't until you start living in it, especially that gray water tank hack.
We hope you enjoyed this video. We have seriously so many more things we could talk about, so if you want a part 2, comment it below. If you want to follow us on Instagram, we post there way more regularly. It's called Sam and Kelly's Van. I'm Sam.
I'm Kelly.
And we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.
Get down!
I mean, that's
he does this literally every time we go on a drive.
Alright, come on!
Come on, get down.